Michael Ramsey has been a Berkeley County School Board member for 4 years. Now he's asking residents to give him 4 more years to tackle issues in and around the district. I speak exclusively with Michael for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Michael Ramsey, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Well, it is a privilege and an honor to be here. Like I said, this is almost a bucket list for me. I've always been a big fan of you, Quintin, and so I'm excited.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for joining me here on Quintin's Close-Ups, and I'm glad you're watching as well.
Yes, sir. And Mayor Rainwater from Hanahan told me to tell you hi.
Oh, hi.
I saw her yesterday in an event. She said, make sure you tell Quintin hi, and so I'm letting you know.
Thank you. Hi, dear.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate that, too. Obviously, you are a current board member for the Berkeley County School Board, representing District 1, and I know that you've been on the board for almost 4 years now. And obviously, you're asking residents to give you 4 more years to take care of a couple of issues around the Berkeley County School District. I know recently Jenna from the Post and Courier basically interviewed all of you as far as candidates for the Berkeley County School Board and got your take on many of the issues circulating the school district. One of the questions she asked you was this: as of mid-October, there were nearly 60 teacher vacancies across the school district. And she asked you, how do you plan to recruit and retain certified educators in the Berkeley County School District amid an ongoing teacher shortage? You said this, Michael, quote, teachers are being asked to do the impossible right now in these unprecedented times. Teaching is a calling. We must have a culture that enables the teachers to do what they do best. Teacher, teach. Let me ask you this, Michael. What exactly is that culture right now?
Exactly what now?
Yeah, what exactly is that culture?
Culture is a matter of feeling appreciated. It's a matter of feeling loved. It's a matter of being listened to. Right now, with this COVID situation, a lot of people are under a lot of stress, a lot of heartache. Some folks might end up losing their homes. A lot of folks, like my wife, have been laid off. They've lost their job. So people are hurting. And so I feel the sense that a lot of the teachers are hurting right now because I'm in contact with a lot of them. I've been going door to door campaigning. I'm regularly inside our schools. I'm very active in my community. So I have my pulse on how our teachers feel and how our district is doing. So I understand that there's a lot of room for improvement, and we have to do a better job of letting them know that we really appreciate them in these tough times.
And, you know, obviously, Jenna asked you this too. How do you plan to recruit and retain certified educators in the Berkeley County School District amid an ongoing teacher shortage? Let me ask you this. What type of technology should the district use for recruiting?
Pretty much what we do now. A lot of times we reach out to a lot of areas across the country. Michigan's been a strong area for us, but also with the colleges, we have partnerships with them. So it's not so much that we reinvent the wheel. It's just a matter, it goes back even to that first question you asked. When we go and recruit teachers across the country, or even here in our own backyard, they need to feel like Berkeley County is a place that they want to come work at.
Yeah, and let me ask you this too. What compensation packages would you urge the district to update to attract more teachers?
Oh, that's, we got to get them more money. Everyone knows that. One frustration I had with Columbia this year was that they haven't approved the step increase yet. And again, we know everyone's under tough times, but before this pandemic happened, Columbia was having a much different conversation. They had recognized the value of teachers, and they had recognized that they needed to be compensated more. So I feel strongly that it's a matter of us working with Columbia and locally as far as getting their salaries increased. Sometimes some districts will do bonuses. Sometimes some districts will be, if you go out and you serve in a rural area for X amount of time, or even if it's a high need area, like say math teachers, they should get paid more because we're having a hard time finding qualified math teachers.
And would allocating funds early reduce the teacher shortage in your mind?
I think it's a bigger issue than that.
Okay.
My late wife, Debbie Ramsey, was a 3rd grade teacher, in a Berkeley County School District. She was one of the first national board certified teachers in Berkeley County. She got her master's degree very early on. She was called to teach, and that's how I ended up coming to think one day I would serve on the school board. Is the Lord placed it on my heart, Michael, one day you're going to honor her and you're going to go serve on the school board. So it's with teachers, when you talk to them, money is never number one on their list. Number one on their list is they want to be fulfilled. They want to feel valued, and they want to feel like they're able to help children. Teachers, that's what I meant by when I said let teachers teach. Teachers are in this business because they are called to do it. They're not in it for the money. But that being said, we all want to be recognized for the jobs we do. So money is a part of it, but money is probably like number 4 on the list with teachers.
Now, you talked earlier about children. How do reduce class size in the midst of COVID? How do you do that?
Right now with COVID, quite frankly, you just try to survive. It's within Berkeley County, we've had virtual and we've had in class where the teachers have taught both.
Right.
And it's been a necessary way we need to go about it during this time, because quite frankly, we didn't have enough teachers. We didn't have the resources. This is how we felt we needed to go about it. But once we survive and once we get past the COVID, then it's a matter of refocusing on normal times and reducing class sizes. Because in Berkeley County, we reduced class sizes in first grade and second grade just 2 years ago.
Right. Absolutely.
So and my next step is third grade. I want to see reduced class sizes in third grade.
What would be ideal for the third graders?
Ideal and realistic. Ideal, I would say, would be like 18 kids per class.
Okay.
Realistically, maybe if we could get it to 20, 21 kids.
Okay. And the next question Jenner asked you from the post story was this: do you approve of the district's handling of reopening schools this fall 5 days a week amid the COVID-19 pandemic? You said this, Michael, quote, "The district made the correct decision with giving people a choice to either choose to send their kids to school or virtual learning." Let me ask you this, Michael, what other decision should be made right now?
Now the decision needs to be made on people. We gave people the opportunity to make a decision. You could either send your kids to school or you could have them virtually. The middle school and the elementary kids, in my opinion, virtual as a full-time solution is not an honest solution. We've had hundreds of kids not even participate in virtual learning. And we've had several kids that have been a part of virtual learning that it's still just not quite getting it done with it, as far as the teacher helping and the parent helping. So my personal thought is, and part of what I put forth to the board last meeting was in January, we say, hey, anyone who feels like their kids can come back to school, they need to come back to school. And the folks that need to keep them virtually, we need to set a date, and maybe for the next 9 weeks, they need to be virtually. And part of that thought process is working with the teachers as far as figuring out, okay, how can we separate the in-class and how can we separate the virtually? Because again, right now, it's just too much strain as far as long-term what we're currently doing.
Now, let me ask you this too, Michael. When should the board revisit its blended model idea?
Well, we just recently did. That's what I'm saying. We recently had a 7-point plan that we put forth. And even tonight, when we go meet at St. Stephen Elementary, we're going to be voting on it as a board. Because, and that goes back to some of your earlier questions, was as far as more pay for teachers. Well, I've talked to dozens and dozens of teachers, both from Berkeley County, Dorchester 2, and Charleston. I've talked to principals, assistant principals. I've talked to a lot of people. The issue of what they're making has not been what they're talking about right now. What they're talking about right now is we feel like we're not being as successful as we'd like to be as far as teaching our kids, both with how we're going about it, and we feel like the kids are going to be hurting. But you have to understand, we haven't had this kind of situation in this country since 1918. Right. This is like wartime situation with a pandemic.
And let me ask you this, what was the communication line like before the schools actually reopened?
We had a committee that was put together that included some of our teachers, included some of our principals. But part of the pushback has been, quite frankly, that the educators, a lot of them feel like they would like a better communication, that they would like to feel like more of their voices are heard. So I have heard that feedback from many educators.
Orientation should have been in place?
When you say orientation, what do you mean?
When you all discuss reopening these schools, should those have been in place?
It's hindsight, looking back, hindsight 2020, and looking. I mean, I feel like part of what I do for a living is I work in economic development as an existing industry manager. And part of my role with my job is I talk with all the industries and companies within Berkeley County. And so part of that role has been dealing with COVID, working with DHEC. And so I've had companies where DHEC said, hey, early on in this, you're going to have to shut down business. And the company, a small business, would say, we can't shut down because we will go out of business. I've had situations where companies, 20, 30, 40, 50 individuals tested positive. There's been many scenarios. It's kind of a moving target. We're learning as we go. So with me, I'm more focused on what we're doing right now, and then how do we move forward. And of course, we're all hoping that the numbers continue to go down. But part of the equation is, okay, if the numbers stay the same, how are we going to address it? If the numbers do finally go down, how are we going to address it? So there's no real way of saying, if I would have done this different or that different, because no one really knew.
Right. And what are the numbers right now?
Most recently, I saw the numbers in the low country had spiked back up is what I saw.
And what are the numbers in your particular district, District 1?
Our districts have been lower. I don't know the specific district numbers, but in Berkeley County, they've been trending down for a while now.
Okay, thank God for that. And the next post-inquiry question Jenna asked you was this. Some Berkeley County taxpayers feel that the school board is oftentimes most consumed with politics than educational oversight. Do you agree or disagree with that opinion? You said this quote, some Berkeley County taxpayers feel happy that the school board started with a zero-based budget this year and we no longer bond toilet paper. What else are you guys no longer bonding?
I'm sorry, you cut out there for a second with the computer.
Oh, I'll do this.
Might have been mine.
The second question she asked you, I believe it was the second question, third question that is, she said some Berkeley County taxpayers feel that the school board is oftentimes most consumed with politics than educational oversight. Do you agree or disagree with this opinion? You said this quote, some Berkeley County taxpayers feel happy that the school board started with a zero-based budget this year and we no longer bond toilet paper. What else are you guys no longer bonding?
Well, toilet paper and other items that shouldn't be part of your bonding funds. This was a big issue when we first came onto the board. Right. We had a lot of corruption. Our CFO is now in jail. We were supposed to have a fund balance of 40 or 45 million. That fund balance actually in real terms, because money were allocated inappropriately, was probably 6 to 9 million. We now have a fund balance of 70 to 75 million. We had buildings that had wings that were torn down that we still had insurance on. We had one new school that we had just been built, we didn't have insurance on. It was issue after issue after issue after issue. And so that's what it's taken. It's taken 4 years almost to pretty much get to the point where I can say, hey, we're starting with a zero budget balance. Hey, we're not bonding toilet paper. I mean, to most reasonable people, that seems pretty absurd that you would ever bond toilet paper. And that was my point with that question, was they were more wanting to get involved in the politics. Well, politics is, I've had 2 mailers recently put out against me from a PAC that I have no idea who they are, making false statements. I mean, I find that politics, whereas I've not done as such.
And you talk about that fund balance. When do you all expect to have that?
When do we what now?
when do you all expect to have that fund balance?
Well, the fund balance, that's our extra money that we have above and beyond what we spend every year. And it's good to have a healthy fund balance. And that's part of when we talk about, we have some new additions, some new schools that we need to start building. And so because we have that much cash, we can utilize it to start building those schools.
And when do you expect to build those schools with that balance?
Starting right now.
Okay.
A K through 8 over on Carnes Crossroads.
Yes, sir.
Expansions over in Cane Bay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Already underway.
Oh, okay. And let me ask you this, Michael. Is there a power struggle on the Berkeley County School Board?
When you say power struggle, what do you mean? Do you mean is there conflicting views or?
Yes, sir. How do you view the boards right now?
I view right now as political season. And when people are up for re-election, there's probably always a somewhat of a struggle because people have different ideas, different opinions. There's always some people that want to be leaders, some people that want to be followers, some people that want to get along, some people that don't want to get along. So I do think there is a divide as far as some of the current board members that we're running for re-election, and then some other people from the outside that are looking to serve on the board. Now, so there's certainly a different,
Okay. And how transparent is your school board?
Oh, we're very transparent. Everything we've done has been transparent as far as putting the information out to the public.
And the next question that Jenna asked you from the Post Inquiry was this. In recent months, the school district has been forced to take measures, including redrawing school attendance lines and shuffling students around to reduce overcrowding at some of the district's most heavily populated schools. If you're elected, how would you address school overcrowding? You said this, quote, a sales tax referendum that includes lowering property taxes on 4% and 6% properties for defined projects over a certain period of time. Let me ask you this, Michael. What are those defined projects right now?
Where does it define what?
What are those defined projects?
Oh, we have like in the next 15 years, we have potentially 12 new schools that we need to build because of the growth. We've done some research and we've hired some firms to research as far as how many new schools we will need or how many new additions we'll need. And the reason I could answer that question is for 22 years, I worked with the tax assessor's office for Berkeley County. Right. So every year when the taxes would go up and the taxpayers would call into my office and I appraised their property and they'd want to know, why did my taxes go up? Why did my taxes go up? Well, your taxes went up because of the millage rate went over at the school district. Whereas since I've been on the school district, we've lowered the millage twice. And the reason that I can speak to a sales tax versus a bond referendum, because the previous bond referendums did not go well. I mean, there was even litigation and just all kind of misspent funds with the previous bond referendums. With a sales tax is similar to what Charleston does, but we already have the parameters for, we have the study for the schools that need to be built. And when I say the 4% and 6% properties, that's where we lower the millage rate. We put to the voters and we say, hey, we're going to lower your property taxes, but we're going to ask you to pay a sales tax. And if you pay the sales tax, it's going to go for these defined projects for a certain amount of time. It will be kept in a separate account, full transparency. Everyone can see what every dollar is spent for. And I believe the taxpayers of Berkeley County will support that.
Now, can the school district provide sufficient revenue without millage?
Well, the millage that's a big part of our revenue. What it is you have your properties and then the 4% and the 6%, and then it's times the millage rate, and that's how your taxes are computed.
Yes, sir. And let me ask you this. Why weren't schools built larger in the first place in your mind?
That's something that everyone asks. And I really don't have the answer to why we don't build bigger schools, but I do have a positive answer in that part of what this board is looking to do is similar to what North Carolina school districts do. What they do is they have a large school, a middle school, a small school. Right. They own their own architectural plans. They don't reinvent the wheel every time. Hence, you see some of these charter schools or some of these private schools, and you see how they build them for so much less money. And you wonder, well, why should it cost us $100 million to build a high school when these other people can build it for, say, $70 million? So we've already, that's part of our plan, is doing a better job building new schools.
And should the school district, that is, increase the amount of teachers in your mind?
Excuse me?
Should the school district increase the amount of teachers?
Sure. As growth happens, we increase them every year. I forget, this year before COVID struck, I think we had 40 new teacher positions we were looking to hire. After COVID struck, I know that number was dramatically reduced.
And can the attendance line be redrawn for distance purposes?
That's part of what we're going to have to look. We've looked at that previously, but we definitely have to look at it some more. And even part of the thing is bringing, if we still have this COVID and we still have a large number of cases, where some schools say it might be 80% full, another school might only be 40% full. So even that might even part of the solution of saying, hey, we need these young kids back in school. So maybe we need to see where we have a place for them. Because I strongly believe that younger kids need to be in school.
And the next question she actually was this: if elected, what is your top priority you would like to accomplish while on the school board? Please explain. Your answer to the Post Inquirer was this: Berkeley County School District will have one of the top career and technology educational programs in the country. Every rising senior will have a plan for their future. Berkeley County will be known as the strongest workforce in the United States. How many of those programs are available in your district, District 1, right now?
We're working on all of them. And see, part of that answer goes into what I do for a living, is working in economic development as the existing industry manager. And my team that we work together here at the county is we have the opportunity to work with the school district as well. And so my heart is twofold. One, I want all third graders to be able to read, because I believe if you can read, you have a chance at life. Two, I want kids to start having a plan, dreams, and goals. It's very simple and it's easy for me to say, but somehow a lot of our youth, they miss out on that. It's just like you. I mean, somewhere along the line, you got this dream that you wanted to be Quintin. I mean, that you wanted to interview people. Yes. And it's because they spoke life into you. They believed in you. They said, hey, you got this wonderful personality. You got this inquisitive mind. You can do it. And just because someone believed in you, because someone set that bar high. And so that's when I speak those things, I'm speaking it so it will be so. And I believe if people will have dreams, and that's part of what we have been working on at Berkeley County School District, just like when we talk about, say, a junior. Right. All right, you go in your junior year. Yeah. You don't know what you want to do. Right. Maybe college isn't for you. Well, what about Boeing? What about Nucor? What about JW Aluminum? What about all these great industries that they want strong young minds? So it sounds simple, but it goes back to changing that culture, to changing that attitude, to just dreaming.
Oh my God. Of course I've thought about this just a couple of days ago because I was just looking at a job opportunity for the same job that I wanted in Washington, DC. I wanted to be a television traffic anchor in DC 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So if I did take that, I probably wouldn't be doing Quintin's close-ups today. So thank God I'm doing this. But yeah. I mean, let me ask you this too. Would you ask the district to reevaluate and rewrite the policies on textbook selection and curriculum reviews to include involvement from the parents?
That wasn't so much my baby. That was more with me. I'm really focused a lot on the CTE programs, like I was talking about, on the finances. Part of that goes into is we get a lot of feedback sometimes from the public, like, what are y'all teaching them? Are you teaching them this history? Are you teaching them that history? Are you teaching them, just a lot of folks have a lot of ideas about what are we teaching them. And so I think with that was a matter of us feeling secure and feeling confidence and being more inclusive and saying, everyone's saying, hey, let's include more groups, more people. And so I think that was the spirit of that is what that's about, but not really so much my baby.
And one of the last questions she asked you was this. What do you believe is the most overlooked or ignored issue facing the school district? You said this quote, "My heart is always focused on helping those who need the most help." Who in your district are you helping right now?
Oh, we're helping them all. That's why we led the state as far as coming back in class 5 days a week. I firmly believe if it wasn't for Berkeley County, the whole state would have went virtual. And I lost probably a year of my life, full virtual, like no in class. I lost a lot of sleep, a lot of stress, worrying, how did we need, the safety of the teachers, the safety of the kids, the safety of grandma at home. How did it need to look? And I personally debated with myself and debated with my school board members a great deal about that. And I'm pleased to say we got it right, in my opinion, meaning that the whole heart of why we wanted high achieving kids, they're going to be high achieving kids anywhere. Lower, middle kids, kids with disabilities, kids with special needs, kids like me who started out in St. Stephen's in a special needs learning class with a speech impediment. I couldn't speak. I was in learning disability. I probably didn't know my ABCs to third grade. I mean, I started way, way down. And why was I able to now one day have a family, serve on the school board, have this wonderful, blessed life? It's because a lot of people believed in me. It's because of those teachers. It's because my community, my churches. I mean, it was so many people fed into me. And that's what we're trying to do at Berkeley County School District. But what I think everyone needs to do is have a little grace with themselves and with each other. Because right now is really, really hard times on everybody. But we're gonna get through this. It's not always going to be hard times. And how you choose to respond is what's going to make the difference. The difference is going to be, okay, we went through some really hard times. We wish we would have done some things better. We wish we wouldn't have gone that route. We really put a lot of stress on the teachers. Maybe this didn't work as well as that would have worked. But if you have some grace and if you're sincere, I believe when we come out of this, we're going to be even stronger than we were before.
And what will be different about education in the next 5 years for students in Berkeley County?
Virtual, the utilization of virtual. There's going to be more opportunities for it. Like when we have a hurricane, instead of missing a day, they can do virtual. Same thing with lots of our programs, how we learn. I think the educators are picking up new skills, new ways of teaching, new ways to look at it. The district is doing the same thing. So if we can figure out the good parts that work and help and realize the parts that didn't help so much, then we're going to be improved. I mean, I have no doubt. I'm an optimist.
And one of my last questions to you is this, because you said this too in the post for your answer in the last question is this. My number one goal is giving every child a fighting chance. Why should parents and students give you a second chance on the Berkeley County School Board?
They should look at my who and my why. Who is Michael Ramsey? Who's my family? What do I do with my life? Who are my friends? My why, my late wife, was placed in my heart. She died from breast cancer. My current wife makes me a better man. We have 3 beautiful young boys together. There's lots of things I could be doing with my time other than spending a lot of it on the school board. But I feel I'm called. Just like I feel the teachers are called to teach, I feel I'm called to serve. And whether I get reelected or not, I'm fine with that. Just ask who and why. Ask who am I and why am I doing it? And I think if people will look at those questions, then I'll be all right.
Let me ask you a couple of rapid fire questions.
Sure.
What's the graduation rate at Goose Creek High School?
At Goose Creek High School, my gosh, I would think it would probably be about, I don't know if I want to just spit out numbers. I would think, yeah, I wouldn't want to just spit out numbers because I wouldn't want to misquote it because that wouldn't be good.
Well, what's the poverty index for Berkeley Middle College High?
The what now?
What's the poverty index for Berkeley Middle College High?
Oh, the poverty index.
Yes, sir.
Wow. You're talking about the middle college.
Yes, sir. College, high school. Yes, sir.
The poverty index. I don't know if I would, no, I would speculate. I would think the poverty index, gosh, could be as high as 40, 50%.
Okay.
Just looking at what we have at some of our other schools.
And what's the reading math proficiency at Mount Holly Elementary School?
At Mount Holly, if I had to speculate on that one, I would say it would probably be around 75, 80%.
And what will you do on day 2 if reelected?
On day 2, I would keep doing what I'm doing right now, which is being active in the community, being active with the school board. I would keep moving forward with a lot of the accomplishments that we've already accomplished. And I would work on how do we handle this COVID situation better? How do we improve the education that the kids are getting, while at the same time helping the teachers not be so overwhelmed? And we've made some steps towards that, but really it'd be more implementing those steps and even looking at more steps. Because right now, like I said, it's just, it's a really tough time.
Michael Ramsey, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups.
No, thank you, Quintin. I sure do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You have a blessed day.
Likewise.